What's up guys, welcome to a new video. In today's video I'm going to explain how you chart, but not just how you chart because I already uploaded a video about it in the PA course episode in there, but more about how you chart as in this is my trading day. I wake up in the morning and I set my levels or make my analysis on either Bitcoin or a forex currency pair, on gold, on whatever market. To day trade, to swing trade, to scalp, whatever. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. Like and subscribe if you find it valuable, would really appreciate that. And let's get into the video. As always as well, I mentioned it, always join the Discord, PA Trading Discord. A lot of free value in there, so links in the description, make sure to join. So to start, maybe if you're completely new to this, maybe first watch the full course of course, but especially the how to chart video in the PA course. I believe it's episode 8 or 7 or 8. There I explained, of course we learned all the setups and all the levels where to look at, but how do you actually find these levels and where do you know exactly where to look at, what time frame, etc. But today I'm going to be more depth from the basic, literally the start, just an empty chart, to just all levels you need for trading right now, etc. So how do you make your chart go from this to this with all those boxes and levels? Of course you see a lot of levels now, but it's a lot of price action. This is not, all those levels will not get hit in one day. And these are, as you see, my map is called daily. I give daily updates in the server as well. These are more levels on the daily. On the 1 hour and the 4 hour, Bitcoin is not going to take out all these levels in the span of a day. Like if you want to day trade and you set out all your lines, possibly Bitcoin gets everywhere, but this is maybe, this is more for the bigger picture. So as well as these are trading opportunities, but these are also just indications to see where price will go or what the general trend is. So if price goes here, that doesn't mean I'm going to instantly long, but that does mean if price creates local structure there, I might look for a trade. Or what it also means is if price dumps straight through this and also through this, then I know, oh, we are losing important levels. There are not enough buy orders. We're locally in a downtrend. So that also gives you peace of mind and clarity of what the market is doing in general. So in this video I'm going to talk mainly about crypto, but it's basically the same in forex or other markets because, as mentioned, price action works on all strategies. So let me start with Bitcoin. Let me remove everything. So first and foremost, as always, zoom out, have the bigger picture, and you can if you want, but it's not really relevant. You can mark out the highs, the lows here. This is the low here in the last parent, here's the high, but does that really have any value? I don't know. So of course on the weekly you see now, okay, Bitcoin uptrend since 2021. Okay, we saw a massive dump now, but we're still holding on some structure here. Okay, let's zoom in on the daily. On the daily, this piece of price action, we can clearly see something, and let me zoom in even further to get the level. We saw that we made a low here. What I always do, I always start with the lows or the highs. The low is here. We created a low here. We picked a lot of liquidity up with this wick. Where do we create the origin of this move or the hold? We can't really see like a hold here because the first pullback is here, but that's way too high. So we zoom in on the 1 hour. I'd say if you want to have these big levels, for example, I'm now looking at the dump from February. You don't really have to zoom in on the 15, 5 or 3 minute. So here, this is your move to the low over here. I'd say this is the gain hold, but don't have much value. So if the gain is very, if the move to low is very high and the gain is high, and then the first hold is very high, we just look at the first hold regardless of it gaining or not. So we have the hold here, and as you see, it already got tapped here. But for now, let's keep this style because it's relevant. Because if we made this drop, let's say we were here, we were around February 16, 17, this was surely a nice trading opportunity. So always start with the highs and lows, and then the failures or the holds. Same thing here. In this range, Bitcoin, and in this range I'm talking about this piece of price action, of course, Bitcoin made a new high here. So let's zoom in on the 1 hour. And if it's still difficult for you, just invert the chart by right clicking on the price here, invert chart, and then just do the same. Where is the hold? Gain, hold here. So same thing, if price comes here, we might have a trading opportunity. So this is how you set your levels on the bigger time frame. Then we add a couple still because two levels in a very big range. So what you can also do is, of course, let's remove this now, but this was a very important level. We see this sweep here, so this is the hold of this pretty important sweep. Of course, if you mark out every hold from every sweep, you'd have here level, here level, here level, and a lot of these levels actually work and do have a, a pretty big role. But you also have to use your mind and don't always go too black and white. This was a big crash, this was a big event, we made a massive low, we picked a lot of liquidity from the left side, we created structure here, and then this is an important sweep because we made new highs here, as you see from the drop off. We made new highs, and even after, but that's of course after a couple of days, we saw that we made entirely new highs. So this is surely because it's the hold, or the hold after this game. And then also you see this is a big new high after these highs and levels. So where do we pull the make low after it? Here, game, hold. So let's say these are the most important levels in this range. Now this is more, as I mentioned, for the daily, or to see where are high probability zones, so surely trading zones, but chances are that Bitcoin does this in the coming 3 days and then you're not trading, which is not ideal. That's why we zoom in. And if you zoom in, I would advise to disable the bigger levels, and then you just start zooming in. It's called a 15-minute. Locally, we're a bit in the downtrend. We saw it down today. You can clearly see that. Don't need to be an Einstein for that. And then same thing here. We made a high here. Where do we see on the lower time frame then the hold or the failure? That's here. Because if you're not familiar yet, let me explain it. High, 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 lower, high. Not a new high, but we fail and we create lows. So this is an important level. And then also what you can do is, for example, look on the 4-hour. What is your move to the high here? That's this. Let me zoom in back to the 15-minute then. So this is, then you can basically see this as a range. This is a range here. Where do we lose this range, as you see? And then you can even zoom in to the 3-minute on the 15-minute because you crossed a line, let's say, if that makes sense. And then you see here we sweep it, so it actually had a meaning. We tried, but I wouldn't take this level because of course it's a sweep and failure. So no, you can mark it, but I'd say this one is more important because here you clearly lose it. New low, try again type of method, and then this is where you actually fail. But this level is also valid, so this can be a little box. Sometimes we have a box with 2 levels and a very small zone. So this right here. Okay, so then in this zone of 3.5%, that's still a lot in my opinion. But Bitcoin has been volatile these days, so it's okay. But we preferably have some more levels. Surely if you want to scalp, but we're not really going to cover scalping, it's more about day trading. So we have those levels here. Those are the most important levels here. Still have some minor levels, but these are in this range to trade the most important. Let's look below. Of course, this is a bit more difficult because here you had a complete new high, so it's clear. Here you can go back to the ultimate low, but the price is not going to be there in a couple of hours or a couple of days. So what you do is you zoom out, zoom in, my bad. You zoom in, and you have to use logic, and I also say this like it's easy, or I understand if you actually go to the chart and do this, it's maybe a bit hard, or it doesn't make that much sense, and that's also where experience comes in, of course. But you just go back, of course the candlesticks look weird because I zoomed out a lot, and then you just see this low here. This low, I don't know how to explain it, but of course let me explain it like that. Like I mentioned a couple of minutes before, if you're in a big uptrend, you don't have to mark every hold, because then you hold every 1% or whatever, and then you have 100 levels, like you don't know which one is the most important. But here you can clearly see, for example, this here is not an important hold. This here is not an important hold. What is an important hold is, here we clearly make new highs, so we make a low and we hold. Maybe this level is a bit too local, we'll zoom in. Like that, which highs or which holds after the highs actually have an impact. Same thing like here, of course, this is more clear because this is really from the bottom here after we saw a big crash. Gain, hold. Get what I mean? That's, you have to, I wouldn't say play with it, but that's the type of experience that you need, and also of course you get that by looking at the videos. So let me zoom in here, of course, this low, so the hold here, not the exact low, of course, the hold, so the low after the low, I guess. And then of course if you zoom out, can have other levels here, but I'd say this one is the most important for now. Then if you zoom into the 3 minutes, so very local, this is your levels from the day. These are not levels I'd say you immediately entry, but these do matter, because this level I'm going to right now is from 3 hours ago. So this was a local high. We tried from this low to make a new high, and that was a 1.5% move. Where did we fail? You would say here, but if you look closer, we're surely on the 3 minutes, so you really have to strictly follow your rules. This is your move to the high. We wicked it here, that can count, but prefer fully lose it. We lost it here, we retested here. But again, if you want, you can make it a box like this, but 1 line is also good enough. So this is a level. Does this mean if price goes there you immediately short? No, but what you can do there is like price creates some, price tries something, there you see there's interaction, and then you can play. And what setups we trade, I'll explain all these setups in the PA course, make sure to check that out. So this is our range right now, and yeah, I said I was going to do it on Forex as well, but it's basically the same on Forex. Only thing is you don't have like 100k, 80k here, but levels are the same. For example, 1 hour, so you zoom out a bit, okay, we're here, we're in a downtrend. Let me look. Okay, this was the hold, so this is an important level. Created a local high here, let's zoom in for our levels this day, or it was yesterday. We had a high here, where did we fail? Here. And then after time it goes quicker, and it doesn't take hours time. In the morning I wake up, I post an update in the morning about Bitcoin, Ethereum and gold and silver. It doesn't take me 30 minutes, it takes me maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And then I have my update for Bitcoin, Ethereum and gold. Of course not every level to trade a day, but just the daily update and the general market feeling. So we're in a downtrend, this is an important level, but I'm going to leave out the technical analysis. This is your level, and if you zoom out down here, you see, okay, we had a hold here, got swept, nice trade. We had a failure here in this zone, so a failure setup trade, which we explained is a bit harder, so I'm also not going to go into that, but this is your level. And then Forex, you also have your levels, like that. Then you can trade, and of course, not saying price is going to be here in 3 minutes, but surely in a couple of hours, maybe today, we take a trade here, you also trade Bitcoin, Bitcoin might go here, we look for a trade, do it on Ethereum, of course not on all assets, but that's a bit the summary. So I'd say important steps is start on the monthly, even on Forex pairs, just know what the sentiment is. For example, what is the dollar doing the last weeks, months, maybe even year, what's the yearly bias. Has the dollar been losing its power, then you know maybe look more for longs than shorts on Euro USD, and then start zooming in. Make your daily levels first, and then if you want you can stick with the daily levels and zoom in further, or you hide the daily levels and then go on the levels from the 3 minute and 50 minute. So for now that was it. I hope it was a bit clear and a bit helpful. Surely if you're entirely new to trading and don't have a strategy yet, or you're not familiar with price action and those horizontal lines, it might be still a bit vague and a bit unclear. But I think if you, for example, watch a PA course, understand our setups, this video makes sense and already has helped you to now actually go to the charts and start making analysis yourself. For now on, thank you guys for watching. Again, like and subscribe, I'll really appreciate that, and I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.